Daniela Collington, and I'd like you to come with me on this journey through my action research project. I'll tell you, it's been a long 12 months, but it seems like they've flown by. And in 12 months, I've learned so much about myself and about my students, and I can't wait to share it with you. So come on. In August of 2009, I was delighted beyond belief to find out that instead of doing a traditional thesis, like most master's students do, our group would be the first group to test the action research or challenge-based learning component at Full Sail. Okay, so it was good that I didn't have to write a paper, but I had no idea for what I was in store for on this action research journey. In the classes up to this point, I had been exploring a new concept, at least a new concept to me, called Web 2.0 tools. And in looking back over my body of work, I came across a PowerPoint created for the MLR class, if I'm not mistaken, that asked me to create a keynote on something I wanted to know something more about. And in my case, it was the Web 2.0, and I knew absolutely nothing about it, and I didn't know how these things could impact education, either positively or negatively. I think it was divine intervention that in month 3, I had the opportunity to take Dr. Deason's class and was grouped with stellar people, Mark Ben, Amy Barnaby, Liz Dalton, and we decided to use Web 2.0 tools as our final project for Dr. Deason's class. And after learning how to do Google Docs, how to use them, and after learning about social networks and Ning, a light bulb went off in my head and I had a eureka moment. What if my students could use these tools in class? It could revolutionize my teaching process. In my experience teaching English, I typically encounter 2 types of students. Ones that absolutely love the subject, and those who without a doubt loathe it, would avoid it at all costs, but unfortunately have to suffer through it to graduate. So I wanted to find a way to get students thrilled about the skills gleaned from English, because according to them, we won't use this in the real world anyway. I wanted my students to come to class anticipating what the day's lesson was going to bring, and I also wanted to find a way to get students who normally don't participate in class more involved. And I've often pondered how I could do this in a way that is beneficial and engaging to all involved. I need to show enthusiasm about my content and what I'm doing in class so that in turn my students will be inspired and more likely to learn. So in short, quite a few of my students lack motivation, and I wanted to change that. And the solution, in my mind, was to allow students to use the tools and media that are so much a part of their daily lives outside of school, inside of school. Mark Prensky coined the terms digital natives and digital immigrants. According to him, digital natives are the students that I teach in my class. They are inundated with media. They've grown up using it. They're used to living in this fast-paced culture and are able to multitask. In order to cater to the digital native, teachers should deliver content at a much faster pace and at the same time integrate more digital media. Nancy Ray states that effective teachers help students to develop goals, beliefs, and attitudes that will sustain a long-term involvement and contribute to quality involvement in learning. One of the ways in which teachers can do this is by taking an interest in activities that appeal to his or her students. She goes on to say that junior and high school students are motivated by what their peers will think. So the more students that actually buy into the educational process, the better the influence the educator will have. Eric Jensen says that students will become more engaged when they feel like what they're doing in class is relevant to the workplace. In order for students in today's schools to be successful in the rapidly changing society, they need 21st century skills, which includes 21st century literacy. This means they need strong academic skills, thinking, reasoning, teamwork skills, and proficiency in using technology. To make students more competitive and ready for the workplace, a different kind of literacy is needed. digital age literacy. The skill set includes the following: basic scientific and technological literacies, visual and information literacy, cultural literacy, and global awareness. In addition, students should be prepared to be self directed and motivated, able to adapt easily to change, able to grasp concepts that are complex, and work in collaborative settings. During the first phase of my Action Researcher Cycle 1, I basically wanted to get some baseline information. And I found out that a good bit of my students don't enjoy reading and writing. Most of them like to do things on the internet. Most of them do send text messages on a daily basis, and most of them have iPods or MP3 players. During Cycle 1, we read a contemporary novel, Hip Hop High School, by Alan Lawrence Sittimer. The characters in this novel appealed to my students because these characters were either people just like them or people that they knew in their everyday lives. So they enjoyed reading the book because it was relevant to them. However, they hated having to write the character analysis, and many of them asked me not to assign. So I knew that the experts were right from my data. So now I knew I had to do something revolutionary. Using a web quest created in Dr. Daniel Siegel's class, I created a company called Schools Your Way, in which students were hired as consultants to research ways in which the things they like to do could be incorporated into the school setting so as to make education more fun for them. Each member of the group had a task that he or she was responsible for. Collectively, each panel was charged with producing a collaborative research paper via Google Docs and a multimedia presentation composed via Google Presentations. Students were able to communicate and ask questions not only of me but of their peers through the use of a class blog. Each student was able to experience some success due to the fact that the activities were centered around all seven of Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences, and a hard task was made easier through the use of collaborations. See for yourself.
Personally, I'm on both sides of the fence because I love working with the group, and it makes things a lot easier when you have a bunch of people instead of an individual working from one point. You have a bunch of people contributing, and it lessens the workload. And at the same time, I'm ready for it to be over because right now it seems like everything's a lost cause because it's just random information. But then once at the end and you have it all thrown together and you have a good project and then you see it all come together, it makes it worthwhile. So I'd like to see all the hard work we've done over these few weeks come to a close.
This action research project has shown me that there is no limit to what any student in any city can do when given the chance, the tools, and the know-how. Students will always rise above the expectations set for them. We should embrace their culture and not suppress it. My action research project has ensured that if I continue to be in the classroom, that I will be more cognizant of the different types of technology that's out there, or if I decide to open my own school or create my own business, Schools Your Way, that I will do well at it because I've put my students first.